Well, if it makes you all feel any better, Maresca's off to the exact same start as Pochettino was, 4 points in 3 games, so that's something. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today. I am the Crimson Wolf, and welcome back to the Blue review for our game versus Crystal Palace. For the most part, we were the better team. I think head and shoulders we dominated that game for the majority of it. We were undone by a moment of world-class brilliance from Caicedo. Overall, we were definitely the better team. We struggled taking our chances and we struggled breaking down their low block. So we do need to work on that. That's something for Maresca to improve on. Other than that, I think it was a pretty solid performance. So starting things off with our first and only red card of the review. Very fitting that I'm giving a red card to this specific thing, because that's exactly what they failed to do. It's the referee. This is one of the worst refereeing performances I've seen in a long time, and I've seen some bad ones. Every time Anthony Taylor steps foot on the pitch, it's general chaos. This was worse. This is worse than nearly every performance I've ever seen from Anthony Taylor in a Chelsea game. This Australian tool has just waltzed in there and made some of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. Booking Neto for basically nothing. Just booking several of our players and basically none of them. Like, we got, I think, 4 of our players booked and very few of them deserve their cards. The worst bit is, as I mentioned earlier, one of the Palace players should have been sent off and wasn't. Will Hughes at the start of the second half was on a yellow card. Palmer is running at the edge of the box and gets basically tackled by Will Hughes. Under any other circumstances, and honestly with any other referee, that's a second yellow and a sending off. And I guarantee I know what the thought in that ref's head was, which is that final warning, you're off next time. But everybody and their dog knew what was about to happen. Glasner has literally looked at that and said, okay, if I leave him on, he's getting sent off. I can't have that. And subbed him the second he got the chance. Everybody could see what was going to happen. This referee couldn't. He should have sent him off. Will Hughes deserved to be sent off, and Palace should have been 10 men down. If they were 10 men down, at the worst, I don't think we concede that goal. At best, I think we score 2 or 3. That is the only red card. I don't particularly believe any of our players played badly for this game. None of the bench players played badly, and I don't think any of the starting 11 played badly. But the referees were atrocious. So, with that being said, moving into our first yellow card of this game, and it is for Enzo Fernandez. A lot of people have been saying that Enzo Fernandez was bad in this game. He wasn't awful, but if I did have to point out the weakest player in this game, it would be Enzo. Some of his moments were Enzo being Enzo, which is largely him playing the ball wherever it's necessary. I think he very nearly got an assist from Madueke. Unfortunately, Madueke missed, so unfortunate for him, he was robbed of that. There were just so many times he was misplacing passes. I know a lot of people are starting to think that Enzo is the problem. I don't think he's the problem. I think he is a solution, but a select solution. Enzo works best when the game needs to be won in the midfield, because when the game is in the midfield, Enzo can dictate control. The Liverpool game last year at the start of the season, that was a game needing to be won in the midfield, and we won it because of Enzo. He is very clearly capable. We've seen it more than enough times, but the situation is very dependent on it. I'll give him this. It should not be a situational thing for a £100 million player. Enzo's never been utilised properly. He was not utilised freely properly under Graham Potter or Frank Lampard particularly. He was never utilised properly under Pochettino. Maresca has seemed to get a better idea of what Enzo's capable of, but still I don't think we've seen the best of him. And the other problem is, of course, Caicedo, who I will touch on later, had a particularly good day in the engine room, which made Fernandez look poorer by comparison. Not a great game for Enzo. I think he will do better in future games. He always tends to do. It was just a bad day for Enzo. Second and final yellow card of this game goes to Malo Gusto. The I'm gonna be honest, Gusto was not having a good game. I know I said Enzo was possibly the weakest player on the pitch for us. Gusto was very close to that. The only reason I don't think Gusto had a red in this game is because, sorry, a red card from me, is because of the challenges to stop Eze from scoring. He made some very crucial challenges. He did put himself under the knife to do so on at least 2 occasions, which could prove costly for us in the future, but largely he was the reason that we stayed in the game as long as we did, and the reason it didn't go down to 2-1 or 3-1 or anything beyond that. So fair enough to Gusto, but, and this is something I need to discuss as well, Gusto has not looked as good under Maresca as he has previously under Pochettino, and as such, that is very much to do with the system. Gusto is not built to be an inverted player. What he is built for is running back and forth on the wing, defending and attacking. That he is built for. This, anytime he's an inverted fullback, it doesn't work. So, and this was a game that was very unfortunate because Palace don't play with wingers, they play with inside 10s, Eze and Kamada, which meant they weren't really playing on the wing, they were playing more in the midfield, so they were gunning for Enzo, Caicedo, and then centre-backs. So that meant Gusto defensively was largely null and void because he didn't have anything coming at him. Not particularly an impressive game from Gusto, but we'll see better, I'd imagine. Moving on to our first blue card, and we do have a lot of them, and our first blue card is actually 2 blue cards for our centre-backs, Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill. We are now starting to see these two become a proper centre-back pairing. These two, in my opinion, and I've had this opinion for about a year, are our best centre-back pairing. I think they're our best centre-backs as well, because I think their abilities combine perfectly. Wesley Fofana is a quick as hell, aggressive tackler, solid in the air as well. Bit akin to Antonio Rudiger, not particularly as quality as Antonio Rudiger, but someone with that mould, which pairs very well with Levi Colwill's technique and his talent and his ability in order to be a more controlled centre-back, which allows him to progress the play a lot more, obviously being the ball-playing centre-back, which he is very crucial at. He's also getting himself into a lot more challenges and is ironing out some of the mistakes that he's dealing with, which is very good to see. Levi and Wes, I believe, are our centre-backs for the future. The only question is, can they stay fit? Obviously, Wesley missed an entire year with an ACL injury, and Levi, of course, isn't exactly the most proven when it comes to his injury record. He had a lot of problems last year under Pochettino, which is very unfortunate. I do believe these two could be a brilliant partnership working forward. I do think they do need a bit more protection because we are getting a bit overrun in the midfield. Now, thankfully, that's Romeo Lavia's job, and we pray that he's back as soon as possible because we really need him. So, yeah, Lavia is 100% in charge of protecting those two as much as humanly possible. And if we had Lavia in this game, we wouldn't have lost. He stops Eze from scoring that goal. He does. And that is something we really needed. Now, like Wes, like Levi, he really needs to prove himself that he is not going to be injury prone. He has not got an injury record. I know he missed the entirety of last season apart from 32 minutes. His injury record doesn't really exist. Like the season before, I believe he played more minutes than any other under 21 player. He played like 2,000 minutes for Southampton, which that is the kind of player you want. Hopefully that's the player he is, because if this becomes a running theme, we can't rely on him to be that defensive rock that anchors the midfield. So hopefully Lavia doesn't have this huge injury record. Our next blue card goes to Cole Palmer. Arguably man of the match for this game. I think he was incredible for this game. You just see so much of Palmer's quality and his calmness and his consistency. Just his ability to make things happen. The amount of times that he has just stood on the shoulder of Will Hughes or Adam Wharton, gets the ball, spins them, and then he's off, is impeccable. He is superb. He's a genius. We are genuinely so lucky to have him. I do not know where we'd be without him. Let's hope we never have to find out. Everybody says the exact same thing, and that's that we run out of superlatives to describe Cole Palmer. He is just an enigma, a genius of football. His football intelligence is something else, man. It would be brilliant for him, brilliant for us, brilliant for everybody if Cole Palmer could put in another shift like he did last season. Hopefully he won't have to carry us as much as he did last season, but regardless. Moving into our penultimate blue card, possibly a controversial one. I've given a blue card to Nicholas Jackson. He took that goal incredibly well. The build-up from the play with Noni Madueke carrying the ball forward, and this is something I really like to see. Noni Madueke is going for the box, and then you also see Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, and Pedro Neto all going with him, which is something you really like to see, because when a player like Madueke gets the ball, they need options to give it to, and they provide them that. Obviously, he gives the ball to Palmer, Palmer to Jackson, and Jackson has a tap in. So not a bad game from Jackson. However, and I do want to address this, the reason people have been very mixed on his performance is the missed chance at the end of the game. Two sides of the coin here. One, it's a very good save from Dean Henderson. It is a very good save. He comes off his line to stop the shot from Jackson. However, give that strike to Haaland or Isak or Watkins, they bag it. That's my only thought here. My immediate thought when I saw that was that you give Osimhen that chance, he scores it. That was my immediate thought. I appreciate that Jackson scored, but I still think he is... I still have questions about it. Now, that's not the worst chance you're going to miss. Plenty of strikers miss big chances. That's not a big... I wouldn't class that as a big chance missed. It's a big chance, but it's not a miss. It's more of just a really good save. If this starts to become a running theme, then we're going to have an issue. I said it before, I will say it again. Jackson has 1 year to prove himself as a capable striker to lead this line. If he doesn't, they will go and get somebody. Whether it's going back for Osimhen, going for Victor Gyökeres, Benjamin Sesko, John Duran maybe, someone like that. If Jackson has not proved himself by then, he is going to get replaced. Not necessarily replaced in the team. He has obviously now signed down an extension which sees him now on a 9-year deal, same as Palmer. But he does need to be very careful and start scoring consistently. I'm not going to slate him too much. He's now 2 for 2 in Premier League games, which is fair enough. If he can bag in the next 3 games consistently, then we can start talking about Jackson as being a top striker or in that conversation. Until he starts scoring consistently and making sure he doesn't miss big chances, I'm going to let him slide for this one because I do think it's a very good save from Dean Henderson. But if he starts missing more obvious chances, then this becomes a problem. And we move into my 5th and final blue card for this game. I mentioned him earlier, and for me, he was man of the match. Moises Caicedo. Moises Caicedo dominated the midfield of this game. He was everywhere. Caicedo was at his best today, I believe. This was a very good game from Caicedo. This was a game that probably demanded someone like Caicedo and not someone like Enzo, which is where... This is where I think this is going to go, or where I believe it should. Lavia, I do believe, is the most important midfielder to us right now. We saw that in pre-season with the amount of minutes he played. So we now need to decide on who his partner's going to be. I think it's going to be dictated by the game and the opponent that we play. As I said earlier, if the game needs to be won in the midfield, Enzo is the better man for that because he can control the midfield. If the game needs to be won in a different way, I think Caicedo's better for that because he can win the ball back and give it to someone else who can be a bit more creative with it. It very much depends on the situation, and it is going to depend on what we see. It was a very, very interesting game. I think it could have been better. It could have been a crap ton worse, but it could have been better. We have some things we still need to work out, and I think we are going to grow into the system. We can see the signs of it. We just need to get better. Obviously for the Bournemouth game, hopefully Romain Levy is back. In theory, Reece James should also be back, which is fantastic. So hopefully this can become a lot better. Obviously beyond that, we have our games with West Ham. We have our Carabao Cup game with Barrow and Brighton beyond that as well. So we have some very interesting tests coming up. I believe some point beyond this we have a really nasty patch, which I believe involves the likes of Liverpool, probably Arsenal, Aston Villa, Man United probably in there as well. So we'll see what that entails when we get to that. But for now, the Palace game could have been a lot worse, could have been better. Regardless, I am going to leave that there. So thank you all very much for watching. Please comment your thoughts on this game, who you think deserved a red, a yellow or a blue card, and how shit was that referee. So with that being said, I am the Crimson Wolf. I am the reddest Chelsea fan on the internet. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Good luck with it.